Okay. So for bring a little bit, it's still Matzei Lag BaOmer. So if I bring a bit about Lag BaOmer and the Parsha we have this week, the Parsha is a double Parsha. It's Parshas Behar Bechukotai. And also this week's Parsha is this week's Shabbos is Shabbos Mevorchim, the month of Sivan. And it's also Shabbos Chazak. So we have a lot going on. Chazak, we finished the third of the first three Svarim of the Torah. So we're finishing the book of Vayikra. And we finished the book of Vayikra by way of the last Parsha, Bechukotai, that starts with a bracha full of blessings and understandings that we'll get to Be'ezus Hashem in our short time here tonight. So,
Amen.
So, I'm supposed to drink before I said L'chaim, but either way. So, we tell the story many times about in Lag BaOmer, and I'm going to talk a little bit of a lesson this week. You know, the Parsha, Behar, is a fascinating starting of a Parsha because the name of the Parsha has nothing to do with the laws that we discuss immediately after the Parsha, after we say the name. So the Parsha starts this week in Sefer Vayikra, second to last Parsha. The Torah starts with, it's a short Parsha, the Parshas are short this week. Vaydaber Hashem al Moshe, God spoke to Moshe Behar Sinai, on the Mount Sinai. Tell the Jewish people when they come to the land, that I'm going to give to them, to the Jewish people. You have to rest. Now, first of all, there's a lot of questions on the law, but before we get to the law, that it says, Behar Sinai, God spoke to Moshe on Har Sinai. So Rashi right away asked the question, Ma inyan shmita etzel Har Sinai? Why do you have to tell us that Moshe heard this law, the law of sabbatical, on the Mount Sinai? While they call the mitzvahs never misinai, all the Torah was given to us on Mount Sinai. Because we don't find that the laws of sabbatical are told again. This is all the details of the law are told this week. And so meaning to say that we have other laws, that we have the initial mitzvahs that are told certain times throughout the Torah and then repeated in Mishnah Torah and Dvarim. And people may think that Moshe kind of added certain ideas to the laws on his own, chas v'shalom. So the Torah is telling us, Behar Sinai, that you should know that just like everything, all the details here were told in Har Sinai, so too all the laws are told in Har Sinai. But it's dealing with a general concern, God forbid, that we may have, that Hashem saying that if case people are going to question Moshe Rabbeinu and question the Torah and question the legitimacy of the Torah. So I want you to know that you see that just like I'm going to tell you all the laws now in Har Sinai, so too all the mitzvahs that Moshe comes to tells us in Mishnah Torah and throughout the Torah comes from Har Sinai. But the actual name of the parsha is called the mountain. The mountain is an elevated space. We're actually, it's also very auspicious that we read the parsha Behar before Matan Torah. Means we're getting close. In a few weeks we're going to be on Har Sinai ourselves, because we know that everything is we're present. Like the story we told many times of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, that he was once asked the question after Shavuos, and he says he can't answer it. He's still on the mountain. So when we comes around time of the Shavuos, we're getting ready to go to the mountain. This week's Shabbos, we're going to bless the month of Sivan, because Rosh Chodesh is at the end of next week. Because today the Thursday is the 20th and the 21st is mamish. The furthest space away from, I think, Shabbos Mevorchim is, I think, this week, right? If Thursday is the 20th, 21st is Friday, and 20 is it? Maybe I'm making a mistake. Hold on. Make sure I'm not making. Maybe next week is Shabbos Mevorchim. Hold on. I thought I was trying to pencil in my Tehillim saying I don't want to say something that's not accurate.
Yeah, Shabbos Mevorchim is Bamidbar.
Oh, it's Bamidbar. So okay, that would make more sense because it's a little too close. Where today is Chaf, so it's So next week is the furthest away from, is the closest Shabbos Mevorchim to Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh is Sunday next week, the 17th of May. Oh, so we have a little bit more time before we have to before we Matan Torah. But nevertheless, we're getting ready to. The Rambam writes that Parshas Bechukotai is always read before Matan Torah. So it's connected. We're getting ready to connect to Matan Torah. So the idea is that this week's Parsha is Behar is on the mountain. We're on the mountain getting ready for Matan Torah, but definitely going towards the mountain, the 49 days of counting the Omer. So this is an elevated Shabbos. Means what's the idea of a mountain? We're in an elevated mode. We're getting ready to be in an elevated mode. The whole Parsha is called Behar, means we're supposed to be in the mindset of a mountain, which is kind of like the Friedrich Rebbe says, I'm on the mountain. I can't talk about mundane things. And then Bechukotai we go into dealing with the blessings and the statements after the blessings, which are not seemingly, when one looks at it, doesn't seem to be so much of a blessing. What's known even as the klalis, the curses, is in the description of why there would be such a thing as curses, is a person who's not on the mountain, is a person who feels in a low space, in a pit versus a mountain. When a person's on the mountain, you're elevated. You're on the mountain. So if you're on the mountain, you wouldn't be in a situation where you would come to that you would be having these thoughts and feelings and actions that would be described in why Hashem would curse the Jewish people. So what is this idea? What is this idea of, we have like a lot of this whole parsha. These are parshas talking about the spectrum. We have from the mountain all the way down to the pit almost. The Rashi says in the beginning of the curses, Rashi talks about that. What is a person? What does it mean to? What was the sin? What was the sin of the Jewish people? The sin of the Jewish people was that the God could maybe chas v'shalom attribute curses to. Was the people says that the Rashi, the pasuk uses very strong language of gil. Gil is disgust. It's disgust. Disgust means that the Jewish people were possibly disgusted with Yiddishkeit and with Torah, mitzvahs, and with godliness. Like Rashi says that the idea is v'lo sasus kol mitzvahs eilas achukim timasu Mulus, Mishpatei Tigal, Nafshasechem Levilti Asis Kol Mitzvosai, Lafrichem Es Abris. I mean, it's not that there's, because in the blessings, the end of the blessings, Hashem says, Moshe says in Hashem's message, that the message is not only that that Hashem is going to, everything is good, everyone loves each other, everyone's doing Torah mitzvahs, everything is perfect. That's not what the Torah says is why there's going to be blessing. Well, how do we know that? At the end of the blessing, God says that I'm going to rest Mishkani from the word Mishkan. God says I'm going to rest amongst you. I'm not going to be disgusted with you. There's when there's everything is good and everything is perfect. Of course, why would you say that? Why would you even mention that? Why would you mention, I won't be disgusted with you? Why should you be disgusted with someone? I mean, why is that when God is saying like a blessing, He says, I won't be disgusted with you. Why should He be disgusted with you? We're doing all the Torah mitzvahs that we should do. If we're performing perfect, if we're on the mountain, if we're mamish perfect, why would you even mention a statement like that? Like who talks like that? Who would say, I'm not going to be disgusted with you? Why should you be? What did I ever do? Why did I deserve that you should even answer this conversation that you're not disgusted with you? Obviously, that it's not about perfection. That God saying, I'm not going to be disgusted with you, it means that you're not perfect. And there's a lot of things that maybe God would say that he could be upset about. And it's not, nevertheless, he's blessing. Why? Because being on the mountain doesn't just mean perfect. Being on the mountain means an elevated mindset that your general ideas, your general shi'ifa in Hebrew is your desires are for the positive. It doesn't mean you don't have down moments. Doesn't mean you're not. There's things that don't need correction, but it's where are you? It's a shaila where you are. So much so that it could even be you have actions that Hashem has to say, I'm not disgusted. Why? Because it's not obvious. But if you're in an elevated space, then Hashem says that then there's something for us to be together. I want to bring this to a story of Rabbi. This week is the Yochai to Rabbi Yochai. We just We just celebrated the Hilula of Rashbi on Lag Bomer tonight. Those who are counting later, I guess it's still not counting time in Seattle. You count so I already counted. We counted the 35th night. We finished the complete first 5 weeks. We have Yisod and Malchus left. So the story is, and we told this many times of Rashbi, but I think the lesson is connected to this week's Parsha. And I heard the Rebbe say this story, and not live or on tape or on recording, and I can't remember where I heard it because I tried to search for that story on the recording. But the story is like this: that Rashbi is known that Lag BaOmer is a time for blessings for children. How do we? And so much so that this was a tradition Adayom. It means till today, it's a time that people go to Miron, people go to Tzadikim. Famous, there's a story going around this year on Gem and in the Chabad circles of my uncle, my mother's brother, Moshe Weiss, who the Rebbe blessed. My grandfather stood with him by the Rebbe, and the Rebbe blessed them with banim ubanis. He didn't have children for 18 years, and my grandfather says he wants a blessing from the Rashbi of our generation, and the Rebbe gave him a bracha, and they had children. I mean, there's many stories like that and throughout history. Especially time like Lag BaOmer, it's the Hayom Yom. The Hayom Yom, the Rebbe says that the Mittel Rebbe, which didn't usually go out to the field and didn't usually deal with blessings of children. If someone came to the Mittel Rebbe, the second Rebbe Chabad, and asked for children, he sent him to his brother, Reb Chaim Avram. Reb Chaim Avram would put on a gartel, and he would make he would make the parents promise that the children are going to be Chassidim. But he himself, the Mittel Rebbe, didn't give a bracha for children. And Lag BaOmer gave a bracha for children. Why? Because it's connected to Rashbi. That's brought down. The Gemara tells us that just like Hashem could bless for children, could give children, could be open up the barren woman, so too could Rashbi. What's the story? It's an amazing story. The story is like this. We told this many times, but the story, at first, our story is not for the information; it's to live the story. The story is that Reb Shimon bar Yochai, a couple comes to Reb Shimon bar Yochai who didn't have children for many years. So they love each other. They have a happy marriage, but there's a huge emptiness in their life because they don't have children. And they want to have children. They tried everything. They went to the doctors, whatever they did in those days to try to have children. They tried everything naturally, or davening and naturally, all things. They went to tzaddik and brachas. They tried everything, didn't have children. So in the reaching the point in their age where they felt that this is the time that if they want to have children, they have to try to go their own ways. Each one try to find another spouse. Maybe they'll be successful to have children with someone else. So they went. So like we know, a true chassid never will do anything, especially such a big thing like get divorced without asking your Rebbe. So the couple come to the Rashbi, and they ask Rashbi for a bracha for the divorce, and they explain the situation. They explain that they're not. That they want children, they can't have children, so they feel that maybe they can have children with different marriages. So the Rashbi says, listen, you love each other. He said, yes, of course we love each other. It's just that you can't have children, so you want to get divorced. So listen, you made a huge party when you get married. Make up a divorce party, because it's not like you don't like each other. You have friends, you have common people. You lived many years together that you built a social life around yourselves. So now you're separating, and that's obviously going to affect everything. So I suggest that you make a party. You make up a divorce party. So that sounded like they say in Hebrew, a rayon tov, a good idea. And they hired the caterer, and they rented a hall, and they ordered the band, and they ordered all the things that they would do for a great party, a divorce party. Imagine you come home, and you open your mailbox, and you have a letter with RSVP request. Please save the date and let us know if you're coming. We're having a divorce party. It's not your typical piece of mail you get in the mail, but people showed up, and he was a wealthy man, and he had servants, and he had food, and everyone was dancing and crying at the same time. They were dancing because they wanted. The Rashbi says you have to take a party, but they're crying because they were not happy to get divorced. But they wanted to move on. They needed the most important thing was to have children. So in the middle of the meal, the husband, after him saying Allah l'chaim, and he was holding Ad lo Yada, he turned to his wife in front of everyone and he said, "My dear wife, we know that we love each other, and now we're going our own ways. Besides, of course, the settlement that we're going to have in our divorce, that, obviously it's going to be in a way that everyone is equal. But separate from that, take anything you want from the house. Anything you want from the house, from our possessions. Take separately, that's for you. And then we'll work out the details and everything else. And he continued to dance and to party and to drink and l'chaim and sad and happy. And he falls asleep in a slumber after drinking. And he wakes up and he doesn't know where he is. He realizes he's in an unfamiliar space. And he opens his eyes, he looks around and he gets a little grog and he sees that he realizes he's in his father-in-law's home. He's in his in-law's home. His wife, soon to be ex-wife's home. So he's wondering what's going on. It's a little uncomfortable. He just had a divorce party. To wake up in his in-laws' house is not exactly part of the plan. So he comes downstairs. He sees his wife. He says to his wife, what's going on? What am I doing here? So she says to him, listen, you said to me in the party that I could take anything I want. So I took you. He said, I could take anything I want. I took you. I want you. So they went back to Rabbi, and Rabbi Shimon Yochai was very moved by the story, and he blessed them to have children, and they had children, and he stayed married, and they had banim and banis, etc. That's the story. And so what's the connection to this week's parsha? Besides it being a very powerful story, I think there's a lesson. We know, l'chaim. The lesson of the story, I think, is one of the lessons we can take of the story is as follows. That we know the Torah says, we learn in Gemara Saita, we learn that a person that is found dead on the street or middle of the road, and we have to do the egla rufa. We don't know how he died and what happened. So one of the things they say is that this person wasn't. They go to a place where there can't be growth, and they kill an animal. Why? They kill the young cow. Why? Because this person wasn't able to have children. So the Torah goes in. The Gemara says, 1 second. This person wasn't able to have children means you find a dead person on the road. The fact is the person's dead and can't live the rest of his life, can't have children. So what about if the person was an older person? Or if the person wasn't able to have children? The Gemara goes through a whole list of things that meaning to say that if the process of the ceremony of the Egla Rufa is about a person who can't have children, that would only apply to a person who can have children. If you can have children, so then you could do the process because this person didn't have children. But if the person couldn't have children anyways, what's the difference? So the Gemara says, no, children doesn't mean children. Children means mais and tovim. My Paris is mitzvahs. This person's life was cut short and can't continue living, can't do Torah mitzvahs. So if you want to learn a lesson from the story of Rabbi Shimon Yochai, what was the story? That the husband and wife were together, they couldn't have children. For whatever reason, sometimes. The Shir Shirim Shlomo Melch says, called Daidi Daifek Pischuli. Shir Shirim says, I hear the sound of my beloved pounding on the door, Pischuli, open the door. Achaisi, Rayasi, Tamasi. So that my beloved, open the door. Sometimes we're standing before Hashem in a way of kol daidi daifek. We're pounding on the door, open the door. We want to have a relationship. We love each other, but we can't have children. We can't have mitzvahs. Sometimes it's just things aren't working out the way we would want them to work out. Right? We come to this world to do Torah mitzvahs, which is peiros, which is children. Children means, and we learned in the end of Parsha Shemos and Mishpatim, lo tiyah kora mishakel b'artzecha. It's like a barren woman. We learned Chassidus says, what does it mean a barren woman? Or a woman who buries her dead, is that you don't have Torah mitzvahs properly. Your actions aren't yielding results. So a person may think that if our actions aren't yielding results, what's the point of it all? We're in this world for a purpose. I'm trying to do Torah mitzvahs. I'm trying to do what I'm supposed to be doing. It's not working. So maybe we have to have a divorce. Why? Because I don't see anything coming from this relationship. A person may think with Hashem, that like a husband and wife, like Shlomo Melch says, who's the husband is Hashem, who's the wife is the Bnei Yisrael. So a person may think that there's nothing coming from this relationship, there's no children, so we have to get divorced. We're not happy to get divorced. I wish I was able to feel. I wish I was able to behave. I wish I was able to wake up every morning for davening. I wish I was able to put on tefillin every day. I wish I was able to keep Shabbos. I wish I was able to have bitachon, to have proper trust and emunah, faith in Hashem. But I don't see any payros. I don't see anything happening. So maybe we have to make a divorce. So what happens? If Rashbi says, so okay, what do you want? What do you want me to tell you? But when the woman realizes, when she realizes that Hashem says you could have anything, and we say, Pischali, Achaisi, Rayasi, we knock on the door and we say, we want you. The Alter Rebbe would say, I don't want your Garden of Eden. I don't want your Olam Haba. I don't want this manifestation, that manifestation. I don't need to feel satisfied in my purpose in this world. I want you. I want Hashem. That's what the woman said. I want you. You said I could have anything. I want you. I want Hashem. That's why Hashem says in this week's Parsha, in the blessing, that I'm not going to be disgusted. Why? Because this doesn't mean that we're perfect. Because otherwise God would never say a statement like that. Why would God say a statement, that I'm not disgusted if there's nothing to be disgusted about? We do our mitzvahs. As if things are not perfect. But if we make the choice in Hashem, I want you. I want the king. I want you. I don't know. You're right. We can't figure. We're not figuring it out. We're not. Maybe on paper the relationship isn't working. We're not getting the results that we would want. Maybe we think Hashem has to give us things. Maybe we think we have to give Hashem things. Whatever it is, on paper there's no results. We don't see anything moving forward. But we say, peacefully, open the door. We want Hashem. I don't know anything else. I want you. She didn't have a big plan. He said, take anything you want. She took him. When that's your choice, your overall choice is you want Hashem. There's a lot of details that are not working out. There's a lot of things on paper that are not working out. That's what Hashem says. It's never even we'll figure this out. After that came children. After that came Torah mitzvahs. But if the love between a Yid and Hashem, a love between a Yid and what it means to be a Yid, a proud Jew, in all situations, that's solid. That I want. But other things have to be worked out. Hashem says, the pasuk says, all the blessings are cost of a Parsha. In Bechukotai, this Parsha starts off with Bechukotai. Yes, if you're going to be a Malam B'Torah, that's the why you say Tishmar, you keep my mitzvahs. That's give and take. At the end of the Parsha, it says, V'salachti b'seichechem. V'salachti b'seichechem, the Rebbe says, the Alter Rebbe teaches us, is that God's going to walk in our paths florally, in our up and down, in our struggles, in our. But if fundamentally we're on the mountain, and Kisavayu al Arz, it's like the Rebbe wrote a letter in 1950. I think we're going to learn the letter just as a separate study on Erev Shabbos Kodesh. That the Rebbe wrote a letter, Erev Shabbos Kodesh, Parshas Behar. He says, Parshas Kisavayu al Arz Achar Chatzos. We're holding now in time of life. Since the beginning of time, it's getting close to Shabbos Kodesh, which is the time of Mashiach. And it's mamish after Chatzos. It's after midday. We passed 5,785 years. In a 6,000-year time, we're after Chatzos. We're well after Chatzos. And Parsha Kisavayu Ha'aretz, we're about to enter the land. The Rebbe says, "What are you doing? What are you doing to get to Mashiach?" But the fundamental thing is that be a person be a person on the mountain. There's a certain large idea of this week, which is a question of a mindset. Where are you? Are you in the pit or are you in the mountain? It's not a sign of perfection. It's where are you? You could be on the mountain and you're not perfect. That God has to say, I'm not going to be discussed, but you have no payros. And on paper, there's no reason that this marriage should continue. But I want you. Ananasiv Malka, the Jewish people always chose Hashem. A person could live their whole life of not Torah mitzvahs. When it came a question, am I a Jew? Mesiras Nefesh? Am I a Jew, or if I'm just ready to continue living as a non-Jew, or to convert chas v'shalom? That's not even a thought. I want you. I want you. Everything you've done in your life doesn't have Paris, doesn't have any actions. I want you. You're a person on the mountain. A Jew has to be on the mountain no matter what their situation is. Never being in the pit or the mountain, that's up to you. The details and how you work, and that's going to be, you can say, Pischuli, Hashem says, I'm with you. We'll work this out. But don't fall into the pit, don't fall into a place where the pasuk continues. And what is this basis of the beginning of the curses is a person who doesn't want to have anything to do with God. It's not about the details. It's about the Bechlal and understand relationship. There's no pischuli, there's no called doifek, there's no knocking on the door, there's no asking, there's no, the worst part when you run away. Like it says, Yelad Berech mina Beit Sefer. One of the reasons God was a little upset when the Jewish people left Mount Sinai was they ran like a child running away from the school, running away from Mount Sinai. We don't run away from the mountain. Friedrich Rebbe says we could be on the mountain early, we could be on the mountain late. Be a person who's on top of the mountain. That's I think the underlying message we have. I just want to say that I walked out of the mikveh mamash not even an hour ago. I walked out of the mikveh, and there was such a tremendous. We're living in such a tremendous time for Mashiach. Mamash, like the Rebbe says, it was Shabbos, Erev Shabbos after Chatzos. On Parshat Ki Savor Eretz, about to enter the land. And people that I meet from all walks of life, people that were uncomfortable with the subject of Mashiach, are now talking about Mashiach. And I walked out of the mikveh right now, and last time I had a conversation with this person was before around Pesach time. He comes to the mikveh early also, but we didn't speak. So we were talking then. Everyone was quoting the Bnei Yisachar. The Mashiach is going to come on Pesach, or it's going to be Erev Pesach, Matzei Pesach, Mashiach Suda. And he was, and everyone's excited. Mashiach is coming. All the signs of Mashiach are here. This Gemara, that Gemara, this Medrash, that Medrash, this Zohar, that Zohar. There's all kind of things that there's all the signs of Mashiach. And the Rebbe told us many years ago these are the signs of Mashiach, and these are the signs the Rebbe spoke about the go for, etc. And the Friedrich Rebbe said it already in Tafshin. We're talking about 86 years. Friedrich Rebbe said that the walls of Gullus are already on fire. There says that means when you say that Mashiach is about to come, means he may knock on the door. When the walls are burning, I mean, how long could the walls burn already? The idea of the walls burning, the walls of Mashiach, the walls of Galus are burning means that there's no more Galus. So it's been burning away for the Friedrich Rebbe made this announcement of Shandalid. We're talking about 80 plus years, but we're talking about that the gates, that the walls of Galus are burning. I mean, already it's time to get into high numbers of the single percentages. You talk about 1 year, 2 years, but 80 years in 1800 years is not an insignificant amount of years. And even in the amount of years we're in Galus, you can't say it's like the last seconds. The last seconds is a few years, but not 80 years. 80 years, 100 years is already almost 5%. So we're talking about a long time in the process. And I walked down and he said, "No, Mashiach's not here." He said it with a kvetch, with a sigh. Mashiach didn't come. So I told him what the Rebbe says. In the Eden. So that's what the Rebbe says. You have to open your eyes. When a person is sleeping, and a person is in a deep dream, it's very hard to wake up. What's so hard to wake up? Because it's very hard to leave the dream. Not because necessarily the dream is a positive dream, but your mind, you're so far. You could be having a nightmare, and the same effect. That the dream is so powerful that you don't believe that you could leave. That's not the reality. When you wake up, all of a sudden it's not the reality. You could be falling, whatever. You have all these weird dreams, right? You're falling, or chas v'shalom, in a horrible situation. The world looks horrible. Everything is crumbling in on you. All the pressure is coming in. And you're terrified to open your eyes. Why? You think that'd be the best thing to do, is to open your eyes. Why would you want to stay in a dream that's a nightmare? But it's become so real that we think it's impossible to wake up from something like this. We say the Rebbetzin's capital is this famous capital 126, Shamaz B'shuv Hashem Ayinu Kachayim. We were like dreamers. We're going to realize Mashiach comes like dreamers. The Rebbe says, open your eyes. Don't stay connected to the dream. Don't stay connected to the nightmare. Open your eyes, you're going to see Geula. We have to start opening our eyes, everyone. We have to shake ourselves. Mashiach is coming. He is going to be here very soon. If not today, tomorrow. Like the Rebbe says, Erev Shabbos Kodesh Parshas, it's after midday. That we have to, it's not just to wait around. We have to be active. Be on the mountain. That woman did. She took her husband home. If you have to take Hashem home, do something. She didn't just sit there idly. It was her actions that brought the brachas. So I want to wish everyone on this Parsha Shabbos Behar that be a person on the mountain. Don't be in the pit. It's not a question of perfection. It's a question of where you are. And then everything else, all the brachas that are said, that Hashem should give everyone. A bracha b'toiv anir v'anigla b'gashmis b'rukmius, with parnasa, with yeshuas, with refuas. For Klal Yisrael, we should open our eyes and see Mashiach tzidkenu b'meiru b'meinu mamish. Good Shabbos, everyone. It's not Shabbos Mevorchim.
Shabbos for Shabbos. Amen.
Be stark and get chizuk, give chizuk. We should see each other here, B'Shleimer Kodesh, very soon. Thank you so much for joining. Take care.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Mendy.